Okay, Nick and Andy, let's preview Liverpool against Manchester United, one of the biggest games in world football. Always huge, of course, but this feels particularly pivotal, Nick Mendola, given Liverpool coming into this after the international break, losing 3 on the trot. And Man United won 2 of the last 3, maybe turning things around a little bit and building some confidence under Ruben Amorim. So it seems like a big moment in the season for both of these teams and what direction it might take going forward. So what are your thoughts on this monster clash at Anfield this weekend?
Oh, lawlessness, pandemonium. I look at both of these teams and I really don't know who either one is right now. And that's not an insult. It's just a big question mark. Both of these teams are piling up expected goals. Man United, more than almost anyone in the league. Palace is the only team with more. Both of these teams are mid to low table in expected goals allowed. So you want to say this could be nuts, and yet I just am almost expecting a UFC match at Anfield. Combustible teams who aren't too pleased with the concept of each other and really don't want to answer the questions of what it looks like if they lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, all that usually, Andy, makes it tight and tense and all the rest of it. But as we saw before the break, I was at the game at Stamford Bridge where Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1, and that could have ended up 5-4 to either team, really. And it seems like Liverpool's season of Slot said we signed all these attacking players. We're going to embrace the chaos, be a lot more open, maybe a bit different in terms of the way they control games. I wonder why they've gone away from that a little bit, because they did so well last season, controlling the tempo of games and being a bit boring, but winning the title very, very easily. It's a bit of a head scratcher for me, because I think Slot's kind of just gone away from what made them so successful, what made him so successful as a coach, because this is the first time in his entire managerial career that he's lost 3 games in a row, believe it or not. And I think there are some glaring issues with the defensive balance, the fullbacks, midfield, not being able to get the ball to Salah and Wirtz. Apart from all those issues, they've had a great start to the season, right?
Yeah, I think Slot's got a few problems, and most of them are new players that they signed this summer. I think of the group, you'd really only say Ekitike has settled in well and kind of hit the ground running. And obviously Kirkej has tons of Premier League experience and he's familiar with the league, and that's not an issue for him. But he's not been up to the standard that I think they would have hoped when they signed him. And so that already weakens the back line, which was, again, to your point, Joe, last year was the strength. Well, they've got somebody new at right back now this year as well. And so there's the transitional period there. And then you bring in a Florian Wirtz for all of the, incredible ability that we know that he has. 1, he's not produced anything. And 2, I do think he's unsettled the balance of the midfield through no fault of his own. Arne Slot puts him out there because he's one of the 11 most talented players at the club. And so, there's just a knock-on effect of every little thing kind of adding up and taking them out of their comfort zone, I think, because I watch Liverpool right now and they just don't look comfortable when they're playing. They look like they're trying to make every heroic play defensively because they have to make heroic plays defensively. They look like they are trying to, score worldies with every opportunity, because I don't think they're creating a ton of really, really high quality chances. I think it's more volume than it is quality at this point. And so everything just seems a little bit off. That said, one game against your rival, one strong performance can galvanize the group and can completely turn all of those things around and just give people a sense of relief, a chance to breathe out and exhale and then take a new one in. And maybe that's the thing that could set Liverpool on their way this season, because it's certainly not been champion material, and they don't look like a team that's going to defend the title right now either.
No, they don't. But I did speak to Liverpool defender and captain Virgil van Dijk after the defeat to Chelsea and sort of previewed this Man United game with him and sort of asked him himself, Salah, all the experienced players, what kind of things do they have to do to turn things around and get everyone focused again. And he was pretty simple. He says, it sounds boring, but it's just work. He's like, we've been through this before. We've been through bad moments. We know how to get it done and get back on track. And Nick, is it as simple as that? Is it a mentality thing when it comes to Liverpool? Or do you think it is, like we're saying, new players, slightly different systems for them, way of playing, expectation levels? There's a lot of change at Liverpool in a lot of areas, and perhaps didn't really need to change this much given, how good they were last season. So I don't know. It is a head scratcher. And Van Dijk and others back there in defence, they don't seem to have any control of the game right now in front of them. I think that's the biggest issue for me with Liverpool, is the general lack of control they have throughout 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, I think it is that simple. But again, my favorite quote, which I've used a million times probably on the show, Marv Levy, what it takes to win is simple, but it isn't easy. And that's, things aren't coming easy. It is that I don't think they planned on, hey, we've just signed 2 incredible attackers in Isak and Wirtz, who I have little doubt are going to succeed. And then Cody Gakpo is unplayable. Like, he's been their best player, so he has to be out there. I don't think they planned on Mo Salah, who is certainly going to be fine, appearing as if he's fallen off a clinical cliff. So it hasn't been easy, and that challenges Slot, and we're starting to see him in his post-game press conferences. We didn't see him really under fire last year. So the answers are simple, and I know Wirtz is going to come around. I will probably predict Liverpool to win because of the odds. I mean, Isak has been poor, like outright poor. And I've watched him enough. He's fantastic. He's struggling for Sweden. I mean, they are firing their manager after he doesn't score against Kosovo or Switzerland. By the way, fitness a concern? Nope. He went 90 both games. So it feels like it has to break for at least one of their superstars. Will it happen against Man United? If it doesn't, make a mountain of popcorn for the post-match review.
Oh, 100%. Talking about Manchester United, and obviously they've won 2 of the last 3. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has backed Amorim publicly, sort of saying, we're going to give him the time to turn this around. It's kind of happening though, right? I mean, Šeško is scoring a few goals. His hold-up play looks a bit better. Cunha's back fit for this one, could start. And Mbuemo's been very, very good for them in attack. And again, it's really hard. Every time I speak about Manchester United, it seems like a false dawn once they've had a few positive results. But this is kind of them, right? Like, nothing's really going to change. It doesn't seem like Amorim's going to get fired anytime soon. And this season, they're at a place where they will probably beat most of the teams that they should beat. And then games against Liverpool title contenders are when we're going to see how much progress they've actually made so far.
Yeah, and I think playing the big teams kind of suits them a little bit right now with the way that they are playing. When did Manchester United become the control team? That's kind of what they're building their recent surge on. The midfield is still personnel that we don't love in there. It's still Casemiro and it's still Bruno playing deep, but it's a little bit more restrained and not taking quite the risks that they were. And I think really truly leaning into being a counterattacking team. And I think that's what they need to be this season. I'm still waiting to see Matheus Cunha make an extended run of starts in this team. Mason Mount's been great, by the way, and I think we were pretty high on him just as a player who would suit some pretty specific roles and jobs that Amorim was going to want in his team when he took over at United. But Cunha is clearly a different level. Maybe at center forward, but Šeško's starting to score now. So these are good problems that Manchester United have after years and years of having really nothing but bad problems.
Yeah, and I think probably for this game, probably makes sense for Šeško to start, given his hold-up ability, how much pressure they'll be under. And I would like to see Cunha start, him and Mbuemo underneath him, because I think Liverpool are very susceptible on the counter-attack, and those guys love to drive and will give them a lot from those slightly deeper attacking areas. And then out wide, don't think Ahmad will start this game, but a great option off the bench, and maybe be a bit more pragmatic with Dorgu and Dalot out in the wing-back positions. That's probably the direction I'd go at Man United. And you know what? I think a draw is a great result for them at Liverpool. Would be a big step forward for them, and it's probably a good time to play Liverpool as well, given their defensive issues, the lack of confidence they might be feeling. But it's cliche, right? I think for both of these teams, there's nothing more that you want to beat your rival and to kind of get things back on track or get that feeling of momentum, positivity. So I think it's a huge, huge game for both these managers' teams and for this season, I think, for both clubs. So, Nick, all that in mind, what are you expecting? Open, entertaining game, tight 10th derby. What's the score prediction, mate?
Honestly, I just want to predict a red card. There's going to be a red card for someone. I don't know why. Roll this back after the weekend, whether I'm right or wrong. But yeah, no, it does feel like a combustible game. What you just said kind of makes me wonder, because I think Ahmad has been one of their best players this year. And you're right in saying that perhaps the best approach is to have him on the bench. But when you're not using it, and, I said the same thing about Liverpool. I'll roll that back. I mean, Ahmad, Mount, you did not expect them to be players that are leading your attack. So I think there's good competition for places there, but there's also a little bit of stress, and, Šeško could absolutely kick on. I'll go with 1-1 and a red card.
Andy?
I want to go United's direction, especially if Gravenberch doesn't play. I think they've got a real chance there, and especially getting torn apart on the counter. I've been bit by this before, and so I'm just not going to do it. 2-1 to Liverpool. Okay.
I'm going to go with Nick and go 1-1 as well. I think it'll be tight. I do think there'll be a lot of chances, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 3-2 or 3-3 or something crazy. Because I think it's a weird time for both these teams at the moment, and they are quite fragile, and defensively especially. But let's go with 1-1 and a draw. And I think at the moment where they're at, both teams would probably shake hands at the end of that and say, fair enough, we can move on. And meet you later on in the season. All right, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on embassysports.com for all the latest on Liverpool against Manchester United at Anfield this weekend. We'll have you covered how to watch information, live analysis, videos, updates, the works. It's going to be a brilliant one, always a huge game. Thanks, Nick and Andy, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and we'll speak to you all very soon.
Arsenal's secret to success. What Mikel Arteta told his new stars to inspire a title charge. Arsenal's summer signings weren't just brought in to strengthen the squad, they were brought into a mindset, a belief, a mission, and according to 21-year-old defender Christian Mosquera, it's a mission fueled not only by ambition but by something deeper, the pain of coming so close, yet falling short. During the international break, Mosquera shared some revealing insights in an interview while on duty with Spain's U21s since joining Arsenal this summer. The young centre-back has already made his presence felt, stepping up in a squad that boasts one of the strongest defensive pairings in the league, William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. It hasn't been easy, but Mosquera has embraced the competition and earned his minutes in a side that currently leads the Premier League table. But perhaps even more impressive than his performances on the pitch is what he's learned off it. We look around the dressing room and you can feel it's a winning atmosphere, Mosquera said. We believe in ourselves, we know what we're capable of, so why not believe we can win it all? He went on to explain that, before the season even began, Mikel Arteta made one thing very clear to all the new players: the frustration and heartbreak of seasons past, the narrow title misses. The near misses in Europe, the sense of a club on the verge but not quite over the line. There's a real optimism this year, Mosquera added. Everyone is happy, focused. There's a feeling that this could finally be the year, and that's what makes his words so powerful. Because for all the current success top of the league, deep in European competition, people sometimes forget just how far Arsenal has come. When Arteta took over, the club was 11th in the Premier League, out of the Champions League picture, and struggling to find its identity. Fast forward to now, 3 second-place finishes, a Champions League semi-final, and a squad that's not only talented but unified. Arsenal is firmly among Europe's elite again. Just look at how long other giants have struggled. Manchester United haven't truly recovered since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure. Liverpool's Premier League title in 2020 came after decades of waiting. By contrast, Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta has been swift and built on clear vision and trust in youth. Still, as Mosquera puts it, second place isn't enough anymore. Not for this group. The standards have shifted. There's a hunger in the squad, he said. Everyone wants more, no one's satisfied just being close. We want to finish what we've started. It's clear that Arteta has instilled more than just tactics, he's cultivated belief. By making sure the new faces understood the emotional toll of past failures, he's sparked something powerful, a united desire not just to compete, but to conquer. Whether that will be enough to finally lift the Premier League trophy remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, this Arsenal side isn't afraid of the pressure anymore, they welcome it. And maybe, just maybe, that's the edge they need to finally cross the finish line. The pressure continues to build, but so does the belief. As Christian Mosquera adapts to life at Arsenal, it's clear that his arrival is part of a broader transformation happening within the club. More than just a new defender, Mosquera represents a new standard, one built on quiet confidence, accountability, and a hunger for more than just progress. Shortly after joining, Mosquera found himself thrown into the fire stepping in during a key match when William Saliba suffered an injury. Despite the intensity of the situation, he described feeling calm and focused, a reflection of the trust placed in him by the coaching staff. It was a defining moment that showed not only his readiness, but also how deeply Arteta's philosophy has taken root in the squad: composure under pressure, clarity in roles, and a relentless focus on winning. What stands out most in Mosquera's comments is how Arteta's messaging has shaped the internal mindset. He and the other summer signings were not simply told what the club expects, they were shown what had been lost in recent years, and what now had to be reclaimed. The second-place finish, the narrow eliminations in Europe, these were not dismissed. They were used as fuel. Within the squad, the message is clear: close is not good enough anymore. That standard has rippled through every part of the team. Training sessions are sharper, communication is louder. The locker room isn't just filled with hope, it's filled with intent. There's a noticeable shift in how players talk about their goals. It's no longer about returning to the top, it's about staying there. Still, belief alone doesn't win titles. Consistency, especially under pressure, is what separates contenders from champions. Earlier in the season, moments of doubt crept in, whether after unexpected losses or flat performances. But instead of being deflated, the team has used those moments to reinforce what they're building. Arteta's response to setbacks has also been crucial. He's challenged his players to respond with fire, not frustration. When the team slips, he doesn't shy away from demanding more. But at the same time, he keeps them grounded. His approach is not built on emotion alone, it's tactical, psychological, and deeply personal. Players know where they stand, and they know what's expected. This blend of structure and emotion has created a culture that's difficult to shake. Younger players like Mosquera are not just developing, they're growing within a system that expects excellence, not in the future, but now. And perhaps that's the biggest change at Arsenal. For years, the conversation was about potential, about returning to former glory, about building something long-term. But now, that tone has shifted. This team doesn't want to wait for next year. They believe the time is now. They believe the frustration of the past has a purpose, to drive them forward until the final day of the season, with nothing left to prove, only something to lift. Whether that belief will be enough to finally cross the finish line is yet to be seen. But for the first time in a long time, Arsenal looks and sounds like a club that truly expects to win. And that expectation, more than anything, may be the most powerful weapon they have.